Hello Needham, and welcome to What's My House Worth on this quintessential New England fall day. My name is Rob Tickton. This is Ryan McDonald. We are with Hawthorne Real Estate. We are a design build firm, and we also provide brokerage services to our clients. Ryan, thanks for joining me.
Hey Rob, thanks for having me.
Hey, anytime, Ryan.
How about next month?
Next month, we'll see. But for this month's show, we're going to talk about September sales. And there weren't quite as many in the month of September as the months leading up to it, but there was still a pretty good number, enough to at least fill a half hour.
So warrant us being here?
Sure, why not? So before diving into each sale on an individual basis, let's first take a look at the sales data when it's all grouped up. And Ryan, as you look at that sales data, what do you see?
Well, I see that we are 35 sales short of last month's number, Rob. We have 20 sales in the month of September, down from 55 in August. Down as well, or up, sorry, are the average list price and average sale prices, both climbing up over $1 million. Those numbers were in the high 9s in August.
Yep.
Our percentages, very, very strong. Our homes were selling at 99.7% of their list price and a strong 99% of their original list, which still speaks to a healthy, robust market, just on with a less volume. And then look, Rob, the average sales price per square foot, $376, another record set.
That's right. It's a really strong number, and is it possible one day we'll see that number creep into the 4s?
I mean, we're not too far away. I mean, we were in the low 3s, not too long ago, so that anything is possible. We were at $366 just a month ago, so a $10 per square foot jump over 1 month's worth of sales mix.
Right, and as you might expect with sales prices going up on a dollars per square foot basis, they're moving quickly as well. 41 days on market is the average time. And
rapid.
Nothing to sneeze at for sure.
Nope.
Trailing 6 months, we certainly talked a lot about how crazy it was over this summer as the result of the spring market, and so there you kind of see it all in context. That looks like an M, Ryan, doesn't it?
It does. It does look like an M. So you had the busy sales in June, July, and August as a result, as you mentioned, of a very, very, very strong spring market. Just 20 sales in September. When you look at the next slide, Rob, sorry to step on your introductory toes, but the 20 it's even down just from the recent trend. So it's not only a down month from this year, but in looking at past years, 20 is on the low end of that spectrum.
Right, but I'll still take it only because those 3 months were so off the charts,
right,
crazy leading up to it. I mean, it held up okay, I would say, in light of the fact that we flushed through just so much inventory.
Yeah, we got to give
up to the month of September.
We got to give these closing attorneys a break. I mean, they're just working so hard, Rob.
Yeah, they want a vacation too, just like you and me.
Yeah,
but we don't do that.
No.
99 Wellesley Avenue is going to be the first sale that we're going to talk about today. We're going to work our way on the low end of the sales spectrum and kind of fight our way up. This one sells for $500,000. Ryan, this one was a $2,400 rental before being a sale. Did you notice that?
I did notice it was a rental, and I also am wondering if this might potentially be a land deal, Rob. There is some Title V work that needs to be done. For those of you that aren't familiar with that, that means the house is on septic, and it likely will have some work associated with that. But just looking at the size and the sale price of $500,000, it is possible that this is a land deal.
Interesting. We'll have to stay tuned on that one.
Okay.
Usually when we see lots that are half acre or bigger, it's usually on the back end of the show, but this next listing, and I believe the one after that, are exceptions to the rule. We head over to Great Plain Avenue, 1476, and this is a house that sells for $600,000.
$600,000. This is 2 up from the Presbyterian Church near the corner of Great Plain Ave in Central.
It's a good walk to Newman location, Ryan.
Yeah, it is, Rob. A good walk to Newman location. And this is a big lot, as you mentioned. A large barn with a 2-car garage in the rear.
Did you see the pictures of that barn?
It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure it enhanced the value of the home.
That's a good buy right there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of land and a barn. 78 Brookside Road is the aforementioned other bigger lot, and this one sells for $605,000 near Wellesley, right? And but a smaller house. This one is only 1,100 square feet, 1,175.
Yeah, it's a little farmhouse. Keeping with our barn/farm/large lot theme. That's what we've begun on this one.
I don't think we can hold on to that one for long.
No, that theme is done. But small house, as you mentioned, it's a little farmhouse on a big lot. Could be ripe for expansion, redevelopment on this property. Near Valente Farms. The inside is dated a little bit. There's like a country kitchen feel to it. It's kind of neat quaint little place, but it has some upside.
I agree with the redevelopment. I mean, it's a nice lot. It has some
definitely.
nice views, and it's wide open out back, and you've got really good proximity to Wellesley. Getting down to 128.
An acre for $605,000.
Yeah,
that's not on a busy street. I mean, it's nice.
Quite a history with 6 married children. You know, we do this show long enough, we start to talk about homes that we've already talked about in previous seasons, because we are in our 3rd season? 4th season.
This is episode 46, I believe.
Yeah, so it's our 4th season. So 6 married children has had quite a history. It was built in 1982. Seems like it's been sold a bunch of times, and in fact, just sold 14 months ago for $670,000.
Yeah.
This time around, it sells for $660,000.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a story, and you just goes to show when you buy a house, you never know what the future holds. For this seller, it meant turning around and reselling it in 14 months.
Yeah, ideal mix of location, comfort, design, and style.
Okay.
And turning over.
Yeah, it had some updates to it. I mean, the new roof, new windows, the kitchens and baths were updated. I think in this side of the road on Mary Chilton, the backyards aren't super roomy. You know, they have some growth in the back, so you don't have a big expansive yard. But close to Wellesley and Newton Centers. Yeah. In the would you call us Olin Woods?
Borderline Olin Woods.
Okay. All right. They can throw that moniker on there.
That's a bow location.
Okay.
238 Forest Street is the next listing, and as we take a look at this slide, how about that? Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like your red writing has been creeping up earlier in the shows.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, another theme for this month's episode. We didn't have as many sales to talk about, so we have more themes to develop.
Yes. We're very versatile.
Right.
So this is a good-sized house, Ryan, and you have 1 floor of living, which there's always a niche for that. The shape or I should say the size of the house is good. You've got a nice patio in the back. You've got a big lot, 15,000 square feet. And it was in good condition. It was move-in condition. And I just thought it was a lot of house for that price. And I thought I had a lot going for it. And for that reason, it's my deal of the month.
What do you think about that location?
It's a 2-line highway street, so it's busier for sure. But let's be honest. You got 20 sales in the month. Sometimes it's a little trickier to try to find a deal of the month.
Oh, I know, Rob. I know.
Yes.
I was up scratching my head over this all night.
But with that being said, of the 20, this was my deal of the month.
All right, fair
I stand
enough.
by it.
Yeah.
Next up, Ryan, is 136 Woodbine Circle.
A lot of activity going on in Woodbine Circle. That Woodbine, Hazel, Fay, that little nook, which we've yet to identify a name for that neighborhood, but we're still looking. This is an updated split-level house. Hasn't been expanded. It's 1,672 square feet, including the lower level. But a nice neighborhood. And from what I understand, this place throws a heck of a block party, this neighborhood.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's been confirmed by multiple sources.
Interesting.
So, it's definitely a draw to someone who's looking for like a community-type neighborhood. I mean, this is definitely one of them.
Maybe that's why it's a perfect place for your family.
It says that on the listing.
Right. That house was built in 1956. 33 Gould Street. This one caught me by surprise a little bit, Ryan.
Okay.
It seemed like a really good number there.
I'd offer you some water, but they don't have any here.
I'm going to fight through it. We'll be
Okay.
fine. So it goes for $750. You want to talk about a house on a busier street as well.
Right.
And sticking with the theme,
okay,
we're getting with turnkey. This one in the listing sheet, turnkey. So maybe that explains why it goes for $750.
It does. I mean, I looked at this in sort of in the context of 136 Woodbine, which we just talked about. I mean, this one goes for $50,000 more, and by all accounts, the location is inferior to Woodbine Circle.
Yes.
But and it's a similar house. They're both split levels. This one was turnkey. It was updated throughout, and I think that that alone really is what got it. It's $50,000 more number, and a sale in 4 days.
Right. Well, this one, you could say, is kind of capped out. We talked about that last month, right? Like everything that this thing has going for it has going for it.
Right, unless you expand it. But within the confines of the house, you're right, Rob. This is done. You're turnkey. It is what it is.
Yeah. Same deal with the next listing, 494 High Rock Street, also turnkey. This is a highly visible location, Ryan, in the sense that it's the corner of High Rock and
Mark Tree. Correct.
Sells for $770, listed for $765. I'd say it's pretty well priced. Would you?
I agree. I mean, just under 2,000 square feet, 3 beds, 2 baths. This is obviously walk to Newman School. It's you can hoof it to town and train. I think that's doable. And in the lot, 18,000 square feet. That's a biggie.
Yeah. You think that it's a good, or at least legitimate walk to town location?
I mean,
Walk to dump.
Yeah, but are you gonna carry your stuff?
You never know. It's an exercise.
I'm using transportation when I go to the dump. But yeah, it's one of those where I think people take liberty sometimes with their walkability with regard to their location. But I mean, you could certainly walk to town. I mean, it's not like it's probably within a mile.
Yeah.
To maybe the intersection of Chestnut and Great Plains.
Yeah, I would say you're right.
Okay.
Alrighty, there you go. 114 Edward L. Road sells for $776.
Yeah, that's a big number. It's a quarter-acre lot. When I say it's a big number for the house, I'm thinking maybe this is one where the land might outvalue the house. I mean, the house was updated. It's a little dated. It's pricey. I'm sorry, it's pricey if it's a land sale. It's probably at the top end of what it's worth as a land sale, which I'm not sure that this is. It could be moved into, do a little bit of a renovation, and on that note, it's the seller's got to be happy putting it out there for $739 and getting $776 back.
Yeah, it's $27,000 over list.
Yeah.
The same house sold in 2011. You know what it sold for?
Tell me.
It sold for $679,500.
That's nice appreciation.
Yeah, in a relatively short period of time, absolutely.
Relatively short period of time. We're going to touch more on this a little bit later.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, that's a teaser.
Okay, good. Looking forward to it.
Stay tuned.
I will. Oh, gotta keep going. 226 May Street. I talked about how we've done the show before and we've talked about houses. So this one sold just a couple years ago.
Yep.
Would love to
replay the clip from what we talked about. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Was that what you were going to say?
Yeah.
How about that?
So if I remember correctly, you were talking more about it than I was. So what do you think you said?
Shocking. I think it probably brought the steps up.
Yeah.
And it's remember because when they put it on the market the first time, it was in April, I think. And we made the observation of this would be a tough house to sell in the winter.
Yeah.
Because there's very little options in terms of where you're going to park, other than that little nook. This is on May Street, sort of after you go through, on the part of May Street that's.
It's between Garden and Hoyden.
Yes, thank you. And so it's a little busy and it's kind of a windy little area, and there isn't a driveway, although there are plans supposedly approved for the addition of a driveway, but your parking options are very limited, and then you're walking up quite a few stairs to get into the house. So it's a house that's better. You who just bought it, next time if you're going to sell it, definitely sell it in the spring, summer months.
Well, I remember thinking when it sold 2 years ago for $761, we thought, wow, that's a really strong number for that house.
Yep.
And so, good for the person who bought it at that time because they still did sell it a little bit more than what they bought it for. So, $780. You got to kick a little bit into the real estate agents involved in the transaction. But all in all, if you told me 2 years ago that this house would get $780, I'd say good for them.
Yes, agreed.
But yeah, those steps are a doozy.
Doozy.
200 Parish Road is our next listing. This one, typically when we have a house in this neighborhood, we talk about the pros and probably more cons of being across the street from a cemetery, but we've kind of beat that whole angle into the ground, pun intended. So why don't we talk a little bit about the writing there on the bottom about the ice dam damage. Since we had a lot of houses with ice dam damage coming out of the previous winter, right? So
the darn ice dam damage.
Right. So you're basically saying, look, we have it.
Yeah.
We'll fix it. Don't worry about it, as opposed to fixing it before you're putting the house on the market. So kind of measuring those two approaches. Is there one that's right and one that's wrong, or is it a case-by-case basis?
I think I think if scheduling and time affords, you're probably better off fixing everything, then putting it on, and also being prepared to disclose
that it was there.
We had some ice dam damage, and we've repaired it, and we've taken steps X, Y, and Z to prevent it going forward. And I think people in this part of the country, if you've lived through last winter in Needham or in the local communities, you're sympathetic to that because you can appreciate it. If you're coming in from Florida and you're just like, what? You don't know what exactly people are talking about, that might be cause for alarm. But I think if you fixed it, you've addressed it, and you're upfront with it, I think people are more likely to be okay, and just thanks for letting us know, we can plan accordingly.
I find that a big key to that is, was there a claim put in? Because I feel like if there wasn't a claim put in, you can downplay the severity of it, as opposed to if there's a claim put in, and wow, that was a big deal. So okay, what exactly happened here? As opposed to a little bit of water got in, not a huge deal, didn't even put a claim in. So
No, that's a good point.
yeah, thank you. You can
You're
write that
welcome.
down. You want to write down that point?
Good point.
Thank you.
And the little arrow pointing to you.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
66, and then you turn the page. 66 Honeywell Street is our next listing. This is a house that was on the market. A lot of price drops.
Okay.
Listed with 2 different offices. Biggest price drop was $50,000, and as soon as that came, boom,
Bang.
goes under agreement.
Well, I think this one is obviously unique in that has a full-fledged in-law suite.
Right.
So, and it's in those types of homes, you know, we talk about like a home with a pool, or you know, a home like this that is going to really appeal to its ultimate buyer, but maybe not so much to the average buyer. And that I think is reflective in, you know, its days on market. They're hard to price because there aren't very many comps, and you know they tend to linger a little bit. And this one also, Honeywell's a busy road, but it's still, I mean, it's over 3,000 square feet. It's been updated probably, you know, within the last 20 years. I would say it looked a little bit, I would say 90s probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, this is probably a good price for this property. I think, you know, and so if you're the seller or the buyer, I think you both probably feel pretty good about it.
Well, once you put on the listing sheet, perfect for 2 families to share.
Right.
It's
confusing.
You're making it abundantly clear that this house is not for what 97% of the people looking.
Right, and that's
you know?
that's the point I was trying to make. It the average person is probably looking at that saying, do I get to pick the 2 families? I don't know.
Right.
So you know, but hey, 810, I think they're happy.
And better to put that message out there before somebody walks in the front door, or else when they walk in, they're going to say, "What's going on here?" Right. 146 Paul Revere Road is our next listing as we head towards Mitchell. This one's just around the corner from Lindbergh Ryan. Sells for $927,500. Pretty big house for under $1 million.
It is.
In a good location.
It is 2,600 square feet, a nice location as you mentioned, 4 beds, 3 baths. And this is, you know, it's on a relatively flat piece of Paul Revere, as opposed to, you know, when you get towards the hill that takes you down to Greendale. But yeah, you're right, Rob. I mean, under $1 million, it was on the market for a good month. Big lot, 15,000 square feet, but it is sloped in the rear.
It is sloped. You got 4 bedrooms upstairs, 3 baths upstairs. It's there's 2 baths upstairs.
2 baths upstairs.
2 baths upstairs. It's a lot of house in a desirable area for under $1 million.
Agreed.
Sells for $927,500, and now I feel like, which is another theme, is the fact that we have this huge jump. So we go from $927,500 up to $121,000. That's what, $282,000 or so jump to 10 Ridgeway Avenue, which is our next listing.
Yeah, it's just that void of there's just nothing in that $1 million to 1.1.
A dearth, if you will.
A dearth.
But anyway, we're at 10 Ridgeway, and this is so you want to talk about a house that sold fairly recently?
Yep.
Do you see what this one sold for in 2006?
Yeah, $875,000.
Whoa.
But you see what it started listed at in 2006?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was listed originally at 1.149, and then ended up selling at $875,000. And I gotta believe that's a seller who, at the closing table, was disappointed.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
And a buyer who, you know, 8-9 years later was thrilled.
Right. Exactly. Great location. Although this one's pretty close to Great Plain Ave on Ridgeway.
Good commuter location.
Yeah, if you're getting on that Hershey train, then you're up and out of bed and on the train in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And big lot, 12,000 square foot. So all in all,
yeah,
bingo.
A lot of house.
Yeah.
We're starting to climb here a little bit.
Yep.
Over in the Mitchell School District, we returned for 14 Dartmouth Avenue. This is a house that was built in the 50s but underwent a significant renovation in 1999 and was done, however, with a very, very specific taste in mind. And so as a result, it wasn't the type of house when it went on the market just this past year that would probably be attractive to a whole lot of buyers. But you're talking about 3,500 square feet on a great street. It's a beautiful looking house on the outside, stucco, and looks awesome. You got the circular driveway, a lot of things going for it. The inside, while you had a lot of space and you had the 5 beds and the 4 baths, it was, it felt older than 99, and there was definitely some space that could have been refigured, or reconfigured, I should say. But yeah, I mean, 2.5 for that much square feet on that street.
Yep.
It's
How much would you say the water tower factors into that property?
Probably a little bit. I think if you're directly next door to one, I think that's a bigger deal.
Sure. Or across the street.
Or across the street facing it. But yeah, I mean, it all factors in. Everybody has their things that are important. How much of a factor would it be for you? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, I can't move here, 1 being like, I don't care.
I mean, it's probably a 6.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is, you know, when you're coming in and out of your neighborhood, it's nice, you know, everyone wants to live on a nice street and have nice things to look at when they're driving in and out of their home. So it's present, it's there, it's a large structure. And as we mentioned before on the show, it definitely affects your water pressure.
Right.
So I think it's got a value for me that may be on the higher side of the spectrum.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah.
But
to each his own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up, 10, Webster Park, and this one.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Yep.
Brian, take it away.
I like this house, Rob.
I guess you do.
Yeah, I mean, at 1.3, it's a lot of money, but I feel like you're getting a good return. I mean, it's 3,500 square feet. Now, keep in mind that does include a good 700 square feet in the lower level, which is finished. It's only 2,800 on public record. But it's a 15,000 square foot lot, Rob, and you're that close to town. It's on the corner of Webster Park and Webster, but it's, I mean, 15,000 square feet. It's set back from the street, so it still feels really private. It has a lot of nice detail in the house. It has sort of an older, charming feel to it with nice built-ins, moldings. The foyer is really, really pleasant. Kitchen updated, baths updated, and you know, a 3-car garage, which, you know, we've got some customers that's like the first thing they say they want. You know, like we want to build, or we're looking for a 3-car garage, and they're not easy to find. But this house has the lot that can support it, and it really is nice. So I like, even for 1.3, I think it's a good deal for the buyer.
All right, there you go. I mean, I like 3-car garages.
Yeah.
I don't have 3 cars, but I like the idea
You
of a
might
3-car
someday,
garage.
though.
Yeah, well,
You do
if
have
I lived
those-
in this house. Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Great job. I thought you nailed it.
Are we done?
No,
Oh.
just with that slide.
Okay.
77 Woodsled Road is our next slide, and this is neither a deal of the month for me nor for you, but it's in a popular neighborhood, Ryan, built in 2006.
Yeah, it is, and this one just kind of got me thinking. I started to look back at it because I remembered this house when it was being built, and it was purchased in 2005 for $550, right? Mm-hmm. So thinking about it in sort of in today's value, that house, you know, it's on that lot, that lot rather, is probably worth, would you say, $750 to maybe $775?
Sure.
Right. So
$750.
That's about a 40% increase in its value since 2005 in 10 years. And then you flip it over and say, all right, what if you're going to build a spec house on 77 Woodledge? What is it going to sell for? And you're probably looking at like 1.7. Mm-hmm. So I mean that is only about a 32% increase in value over what this sold for when it was new back in 2006.
Right, so you're saying the land seems to be creeping up faster than the finished product.
Right, so the land prices are increasing disproportionately to the value of the product that's finished on the other end. And that, I think, is a little concerning. I mean, for builders or even for the town, and you know, when you start to factor in other things like the increased cost of labor and materials, you know, the cost of building is going up higher. The energy codes are changing towards the more expensive, you know, with the requirements becoming what they are. So, I mean, I think you're going to see that it's going to be very difficult to be able to build, you know, houses with the land prices and the other costs we mentioned, which may have a downward effect on property values.
Right.
So a builder won't be able to pay $775 or $750, and that's going to affect, obviously, sellers, and it's going to affect sellers of properties that aren't really candidates for being developed as well.
I think what you're saying is the shrinking spread between land prices and new construction pricing could be one thing that could potentially put downward pressure on a market that hasn't had much of it over the past however many years.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this house right here sort of illustrates that. So that's just something to think about.
I mean, who knew that it was such a meaningful sale?
Yeah, it's a lightning rod for me. That house really kind of jumped off the page.
All right, very good. 14 Rockwood Lane. Wasn't on the market for very long, this one. Just a couple of days, and it sells for what it was listed for, and that number is 1,629.
It does have all the bells and whistles of today's modern living, which I'm all ears. Like, I want to know what they are.
Yeah, I like bells
List
and
them.
whistles.
Put a spec sheet out there. I want to know.
Location-wise, this is right where Broadmeadow meets Bird?
Yeah.
Right around there.
Right, and that's where there's going to be a significant development. There already is a significant development going on in that immediate area.
Right. Well, I mean, it seems like there's a significant development going on with 77 Woodledge Road, at least from your interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Anything else on 14 Rockwood Lane?
No.
Okay. 40 Bancroft Street. Continuing to climb that ladder. This is our second to last sale. This one goes for 169. Built, well, Well, it's funny. It said it was built in 2013, but yet it sold in 2012 for 14075.
Yeah.
So let's say it was built somewhere between 2012 and 2013.
Yeah, and this one was the land was purchased for $632,500 in 2012. I remember this deal. I remember looking at it and thinking, "Wow, that's just too much." And that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And now that would, you'd have a line down the block if you could pay that for that property in that location on Bancroft. It's 12,000 square foot lot. It's a great lot, and this is a really cool house. And I think that the resale value supports that.
Yeah, what a difference a couple of years makes.
I know, it's just been, it's striking when you start to really peel back and look at these numbers.
Yeah.
It's remarkable, especially when I can vividly remember this one, like I said, and being presented with that number and just being like, I just can't justify it. And it was what it was.
Well, the $1 million question, Ryan, is 2-3 years from now, what are we going to be saying about these prices?
Right.
That they've,
Let's hope we're having the same conversation in 2 years, as opposed to the flip side of it, which is a much less pleasant conversation.
Right. I think the odds are that it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
That they are fairly consistent over the next couple of years.
I think you're right.
But time will tell. It always does, and we can always roll back the tape.
That's right.
Big seller time. Everybody's been waiting for this one.
It's our obligatory $2+ million sale.
Yeah, there's been a lot of them this year for sure.
Yeah.
48 Woodworth Road is the big seller, and 119 days isn't a ton of time to sell a house like this, Ryan.
No. It's 64, almost 6,500 square feet, very nicely finished. So I understand, although this house was in construction.
Yep.
Nice location off of South Street, but again, it's just really Needham has just come such a long way in a short period of time with these high-end homes, and I think it's great. I think there's still a nice bit of diversity in the types of properties we have in our town.
Yep. Well, we're approaching these months where there aren't going to be crazy numbers of sales, so it might allow us the opportunity to be creative with how we kind of show what's been going on in the last few years, whether it's like you said, there's been more $2 million sales this year than we've seen probably in the last 3, 4, 5 years combined.
Right.
So lots of really interesting ways to try to dice this up to show people just what's going on right here in your backyard. You want to know about that. Market snapshot. This is as of October 5th. Take a look at what the market is looking like as we speak. Ryan, take us through it.
I think the first line is the one that jumps off for me, is that there's 91 active single-family homes on the market right now.
Which is more than I would have thought a month ago.
Yeah, and there's some houses that I think, had they been put on the market 3-4 months ago, they would have sold in a weekend. Whereas now I think the market it has softened a little bit. It's just, traditionally the fall market's not nearly as strong as the spring, and I think there was just so much momentum coming out of the spring that people maybe have thought, let's put the house on the market in the middle of late September, early October, whereas in prior years maybe you didn't. Maybe you waited until this next spring. But I think there's the other thing that's going on is people want to get out before the winter.
Well, maybe a lot of people last spring got sidetracked by this ice dam damage and they weren't ready to put their house on the market.
Very possible.
I will say what we've been seeing with houses coming on the market the last few weeks is we're always surprised when the broker tour comes out how many houses are coming on a weekly basis. So it's, if there's a crack in the foundation of this unbelievable market, it might be everything that seems to be coming on the market right now during the fall.
And there's a lot of new construction. You can see that the average list price at 138. There's a lot of new construction on the market right now. So it'll be interesting to see how those properties are absorbed over the coming months as we get into the winter.
All right, take us through the rest of the slide there, Ryan. What else are you seeing?
The average days on market still 85. That's still really good. That's not a lot of time. So. And the list price, or the list price at $348.
Listing picture of the month, Ryan. In 5 seconds or less, what do you see here?
I see feet. That's all I see. Like, you want me to see ocean or lake or whatever it is, all I see are your feet.
Something tells me the seller's trying to send a message like, you can really put your feet up.
I know, but it's feet.
I know. All right, if somebody wants to give us a call, get in touch with us, how would they do that?
Call us anytime, 781-707-6564. Or email rob.ryan@hawthornre.com.
Thank you, Ryan, for doing that.
You're welcome.
I'm going to go put my feet up. That'll do it for this month's show. We look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.